Hi, my name is Madeline Snell, and I'd like to share with you today something that's really important in the life of every believer, the understanding and operation of forgiveness in and through our lives. We read in Matthew chapter 6, verses 14, "If you forgive others the wrongs they have done you, your Father in heaven will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive others, then your Father will not forgive the wrongs you have done." It's rather a stern warning, and for us to really take seriously our necessity to forgive those that have hurt us. Forgiveness can be a little of a minefield though with us, isn't it? Sometimes our emotions can be so caught up in the moment that it's really hard for us to let go and forgive because we feel like maybe by forgiving that we're letting them get away with something. But the reality of it is you can't rely on your emotions and how you feel about forgiveness, because if you're looking for your emotions to come in alignment with forgiveness, you may never forgive people. You may never forgive those that have hurt you because you're understanding that somehow your feelings have to get to that place is something that may never happen. If someone has really hurt you or circumstances have come into your life that are really, really hard to overcome, your emotions sometimes can be so tied up in it, you can rehash it, you can go through all the motions that you may never get to a place where you feel like today's the day I'm going to forgive this person for what they've done. And sometimes that can be because we have a wrong understanding of what forgiveness really is. You see, forgiveness is not it's not making it okay. It doesn't mean what they've done to you has no consequence, or that suddenly you're going to have this person over for tea and pretend like it didn't happen. There are consequences that can come into a relationship as a result of something that is necessary to forgive. Perhaps if someone's violated your trust, it's going to take you a while to work that relationship around, to get into a place of being able to trust them again. But forgiveness really is the first step. Sometimes there can be consequences from those actions. If it was a legal situation that someone has violated you and the legal system wants to deal with it, then yeah, there is a process that will continue on through that legal system. But you're forgiving that person will set you free so that you're not trapped in the drama of what happens in the courts. Because sometimes even in the courts, you may not see justice served, or maybe it still won't seem like, even if there was a penalty that was made out there, that it doesn't necessarily seem to fit the crime. And if you're waiting for that moment to come so that you could forgive, again, you might feel like it's just not emotionally feeling good to forgive that person. And also, it's not necessarily with forgiveness where you have to go to that person and have this confrontation with them to tell them that you've chosen to forgive. Sometimes the forgiveness can be between you and God. It is a will, you're choosing your will to choose to forgive and release that person to God. By forgiving, we actually become free of all bitterness and offense that would come into the situation if we allow unforgiveness to find a place in our life. If we are unforgiving, we can be consumed by bitterness and by an offense that will just grow over time. It'll alter who you are, and it'll steal your joy, which would ultimately be the enemy's plan for that whole situation. But the reality of it is, you have to consider to yourself, if something hurts you, if someone hurts you, or circumstances, and you choose to not forgive, what you're really allowing is that circumstances of hurt at that time to now have not a little influence on your life, but now if you don't forgive, it goes on and on and on over years, and it can actually poison so many years and steal your joy and the potential that you could have had for a great life by being consumed by unforgiveness that you're not willing to let go of. And that person that hurts you, well, they might be having a great life. Maybe they don't care what they've done to you, and there's no remorse about what's happened. And maybe even if you could be waiting for an apology, that if they at least apologize, but maybe you'll never get that apology. So your whole life can be consumed by bitterness that was never intended because you won't forgive. We are told that if we do not forgive, that we will not be forgiven. It's a stern warning. And I would just say, I don't want to have my life minimized by my inability to accept what God is saying, that I must choose to forgive. We have to choose by our free will to forgive and release that person to God. God is able to bring about ultimate justice, and He's able to bring the healing that needs to happen in every person to be able to get past that situation. God can bring healing that only God can bring, and it comes by our choosing to take the first step and respond to the commandments that we read in the Bible and the things that God has told us in the Bible. We have to choose to forgive and then allow that person to be dealt with by God. I hope that if you're listening today, that this is something that will minister to you to really consider your life and see whether or not you have unforgiveness or bitterness that you're holding, and to release those people or situations to God and let Him give you the freedom from that. We were set free when Christ took our sin on the cross, and we have a responsibility to now be able to do the same for others that have hurt us and brought about offense in our lives. So I encourage you, if this is not something you've done, or if you look in your life and the situation and realize you have not extended forgiveness to all that you have maybe issue with, to forgive them today by the decision of your will. Thank you, and have a great day.